Hi everybody, this is Nima Hussein from Sheridan International Office. I have today with me Alina Sheikh, who's my colleague and International Student Coordinator. Thank you all for coming to today's presentation. Is on arrival and registration. There are a lot of things ahead for you to do in the next couple of weeks, and Elena will go over as much as possible all that you should be doing from today till the day you arrive. And I encourage you throughout the presentation to just go ahead and type your questions. Only we can see them, and we'll do our best to answer them. Over to you, Elena.
Thank you. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you again for joining us. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, wherever you are. I'm very excited to provide you with this information, as I hope that this will make your transition to Sheridan as well as to Canada a smooth one. So today we'll cover a number of topics, but if you feel that there's a topic that you would like to have us go over, please feel free to again ask any questions online. One of the major stressors, I would say, for students before they come to Canada would be, what do I actually bring with me for my trip to Canada? What do I bring so that I can be successful as a student? Well, the most important thing is to ensure that you have the appropriate documentation with you, which means obviously your valid passport. So without the passport, you won't be able to travel, so ensure that you have a valid passport that has a future expiry date, and it has a valid temporary resident visa if it's applicable for your country of citizenship. You also need to ensure that you have your study permit approval letter. So a letter that states, congratulations, you've been approved to study in Canada for this duration of time. You will also need to ensure that you bring your letter of acceptance from Sheridan, and I also recommend bringing a few copies just in case. Evidence of financial support. So whatever financial support you were able to provide in your application for your study permit, please ensure that you have it with you to present to Canada Border Services agent. List of items that you may be shipping separately, so if 2 suitcases is not enough for you and you're bringing some other articles, whether it's clothing, electronics, whatever the case may be, please ensure that you have a list of items with you so that you can present it to the Border Services agent. Credit cards. So if you have an international credit card that you would like to be able to use in Canada, please be sure to bring it with you. And it's always a great idea to bring some Canadian currency. So when you arrive at the airport, as you know, we have a buggy that has, I believe, a $2 coin that you will need to put in order to be able to get your luggage across to a taxi, to a cab, or a bus, if that's applicable. If you have an international driver's license and you're planning to do any driving in Canada, it's certainly highly recommended that you bring it with you so that you are able to transition smoothly to a Canadian driving license once you're here. If you have an international student identity card, it's also a great idea to apply for one. Now, if you have questions on how to apply for one, the easiest way would be to just put it into a web search, International Student Identification Card, and you will be able to find locations where you can find it in your home country. Now, if you don't have one, please do not worry. Once you arrive to Sheridan, you'll be able to get your Sheridan ID card so that you will be able to take advantage of all of the student discounts, for example, for transit or for access to a library, etc. Medical immunization records, this is a very, very important point. So we have a number of students who will be in programs that require certain immunization records to be on our file so that they can go out on their placements. So if you have any immunizations that obviously you've done in your home country, please ensure that you bring translated copy as well with you so that you don't have to do immunizations again for the same type of a disease or illness.
I actually have a question about the currency and what to bring. A lot of incoming students and their parents are asking me, they don't have a bank account yet in Canada, they don't have a credit card, so until they set up an account, how much money should they carry with them for the first month?
You know what, it's a double-sided question. The reason why I wouldn't feel comfortable giving you the exact amount is that, first of all, you want to be safe, so you don't want to carry too much cash with you in case your wallet gets stolen. Although Canadian culture and Canada is a very safe country, you still have to be very cautious as to how much money you
and you could actually lose it. You're traveling, you're jet lagged.
We've had a few students who've misplaced it. I had actually one student who thought that he lost $1,000, and it turned out that he He left it in his room. So then he discovered it 2 months later, which was a great surprise. But I would say $100 would probably be a good amount to have on you. That will take you to a taxi if you are in an emergency and you need to transport yourself wherever you are within the Greater Toronto area. And then you would leave some money, whether it's in your hotel room safe or whether it's in your room that you're renting. But as far as bringing cash, again, it depends on, are you planning to rent an apartment? Do you need first and last month's rent? Do you have access to a bank account here, maybe through your home debit card, right? So a lot of students bring cards that they're able to use in our bank machines for a certain fee. So again, it would be dependent on what the student situation is.
My recommendation though, however amount of cash you carry with you, try to put them in different areas. Don't put all your cash in your wallet, for example, in case you lose that. So try to put it in a different area, in your carry-on, in your pockets, in your wallet, so that you're sleeping a lot in the airport. You're tired. You may buy a coffee and then just leave your wallet on the table. It happens. So just try to divide it around so that you have some sort of security. And when you're doing the currency exchange and bringing Canadian currency in, if you do bring $100 to use immediately, try to get it in small denominations as possible. 20s and 50s is okay, but I'm not sure if you can get easily accessible for $5 bills, but try to, so that you don't have to break a $100 bill just to buy a bottle of water at the airport when you arrive, because you could be really thirsty.
And just to add to that point, if you're not familiar with Canadian currency, please send an email to international@sheridancollege.ca, and we have a great handout that shows all of the denominations of Canadian currency, so that before you arrive, you can familiarize yourself with what coins we have, what banknotes we have, so that you're visually prepared for the Canadian currency.
Right, that's a good idea.
So let's say you've packed, you have all your clothing. Remember that we have 4 seasons. So I would say pack intelligently. Now what I mean by that is, remember that you will be cold in the winter and very hot in the summer. So I would suggest ensuring that you bring something for layers. So generally we put like a wicking. If you live in Canada for a while, you'll find that we dress in layers in the winter. So we'll have a wicking layer at the very close to our bodies, so that if we're sweating or if we're very cold, it will ensure that we keep warm, and then we put something warm over it, so it's a fleece sweater, and then something waterproof as a third layer. So I would suggest those 3 layers you can always use throughout the year. So think before you pack, as you will need to ensure that you have something to wear for all 4 seasons.
And if it's really hard to find warmer clothing in your country, if you live in a very hot country, that's okay. If you're arriving in the fall, the immediate thing that you probably need is a light jacket and a sweater. The rest you can probably get here. Right?
Yep. So when you arrive, I think we should move to the next slide, please. When you arrive, there's going to be a welcome booth at the Pearson Toronto Airport. This is a program that was organized by the City of Toronto to ensure that all of the international students feel welcome when they come to our city. So the program is running as of August the 15th until September the 8th. So as long as you are going to be arriving during that time period, then you will have somebody to welcome you right there at the airport. The program will be running from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. our time, and the booths will be available at both the Terminal 1 and Terminal 3. So the advantage to that booth is, first of all, you have somebody to welcome you. If you feel lost, if you're jet lagged, you're really not sure where to go to the booth, and they will be able to direct you on how to get to the campus that you will be going. Another advantage for those parents out there who may be part of this phone call or this webinar, there's going to be a free phone call as soon as you arrive at that welcome booth. So if your parents are worried whether you arrive safely in Canada, they will be able to know as soon as you land at our airport. You'll also get a goodie bag, so there will be a number of prizes that will be included in the goodie bag with discounts on attractions in the City of Toronto. You'll also be able to meet other international students who are not necessarily going to Sheridan, but going to other institutions within our Greater Toronto area. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of this welcome booth, and there's a link on the screen, so if you would like to find out more information, please click on it. Now, when you're at the Pearson Airport, you will have obviously 3 choices, or I should say actually 4 choices. We also have Skills Training Center that is one of our campuses. You will have 3 choices on where to go. So whether you're going to Brampton, which is our Davis campus, and you can see on the screen how far from the airport each one of our campuses is located. So Davis campus is a bit to the north. We have our Mississauga campus, which is right in the hub of Mississauga, so it's right downtown. Hazel McAllen campus, and then we also have Trafalgar campus in Oakville. So ensure that you are aware of I guess, the territory that our campuses are spread upon, and ensure that you understand that it may take you some time to get in between those campuses. And if you do have any relatives that are living close to one of the campuses, ensure that you're aware of the distance. Because we do find that some students are really not prepared as to the distance that they have to travel from their parents or from their relatives' home when they do arrive. So I would say, you know, go to Google Maps and maybe type in the address of our campus so that you get an idea of how far or how long it will take you to commute. Mm-hmm. Do you have anything to add about the campus locations?
Just be aware that your home campus is where you want to be living around. Later on we're going to talk about housing, but just because of the commute, and you don't really want to spend a lot of time taking the bus back and forth, especially if you have a gap in your day. If you, let's say you have a 8:30 class and then, you know, your next class is at 4, so you don't want to be going back and forth, especially in the winter. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Okay. So there are some things that you should remember before you arrive is email your study permit approval letter as soon as you have it. Why is that important? Well, if you would like to see your timetable, you would like to know what classes you will be enrolled in, we will require that paper in order to release your schedule. So again, please email your approval letter to studypermit@sheridancollege.ca, and please ensure it's the approval letter, not your entry visa. So there's a big difference between the entry visa and the approval letter. The entry visa is the page that takes up one of your pages in your passport that ensures that you're allowed to present yourself for entry to Canada. The study permit approval letter is the letter that you will present to the Canada Border Services agent upon entry into Canada so that you can get your study permit right there on the spot. Another thing to remember is check your laptop to see if it qualifies for your mobile program. Ensure that it has the appropriate programs that are required, the appropriate operating system. So in order to do that, please go to the website that's provided on the screen.
Right. That's really key, and I would also suggest not to overbuy software, because there are a lot of software that's offered as part of your tuition at Sheridan for free or at a really, really reduced cost. Mm-hmm. And also when it comes to technology, try to buy an adapter before you come here. If you're buying a lot of technology here, then you don't really need to do that. But you need to be able to use your laptops, and if you can't plug it to the wall, then you know, although you could get some here, but try to get it before you come, so you don't have any problems, at least in the first couple of days of arrival.
And just to add to that, electronics, if you're coming from a country that has a different voltage system as well as a different plug, I would suggest maybe holding off on buying electronics in your home country, mm-hmm. and perhaps buying them here in Canada. Mm-hmm. I know laptops generally have a converter on them, so you're just looking for the plug. But the rest of the electronics, if you're thinking of a hair dryer, or perhaps, as ladies know, hair dryers and things that beautify us, you may want to hold off on that. And there's certainly a number of stores within the vicinity of the campuses where you can find a lot of the goods that you may be looking for upon arrival. Timetable. So, as I mentioned earlier, in order for you to see your timetable or your schedule, you will need to provide to us your study permit approval letter. Now, you can check your timetable online through Access Sheridan, my student center, and we'll actually take you through some of the screenshots that you may be able to expect when you are looking to see your classes. Now, certain programs have assigned timetables and certain programs have custom timetables. So assigned tables are the ones where you log in and you get to see these are the classes that I'm enrolled in, and you really do not have much of a choice, meaning that all of the students in your class or in your program will be enrolling in the same courses during the same time periods, I would say. Now for custom timetables, and the programs are outlined right there on the screens, which are business, early childhood education. Now the business is all of the diploma programs, all of the undergraduate programs that we offer. For custom timetables, the students have a choice on selecting the times when those classes will be offered. So it's very important that you provide that study permit approval letter so that you get the best choices for the class times. Otherwise, you may be stuck with a time that you may not be as convenient for you. So if you're looking for early morning classes, you may be only offered an afternoon option if you provide your study permit approval letter a little too late. So if you have any questions on accessing your timetable, or there's some issue with the timetable you're not sure how to fix, this is the email address where you should send your inquiries. It's mytimetable@sheridancollege.ca.
Please feel free to ask any questions as we go along, and we'll do our best to answer them for you.
Yes, so if you are not sure where to access your timetable, we'll more or less show you where you will be able to access that information. So, Sheridan email. I'm hoping that all of you who are participating in this webinar have been able to receive our communication about this webinar through your Sheridan email. However, if for some reason you cannot recall how to access, or you need to tell maybe another friend of yours how to access your Sheridan email account, we're going to take you through those steps right now. So the easiest thing to do is to just go to our Sheridan website, which is www.sheridancollege.ca, and click on Access Sheridan link. Access Sheridan link is located right at the very top of the page. Now, Access Sheridan is where you will find the majority of the information that you may look for as a student, whether it's your timetable, your receipts, if you're looking for your receipts for tuition, ensuring that you've paid everything as agreed, or if you're looking for your invoice for the next semester, which will appear later on, this is exactly where you'll be going to, Access Sheridan. Now, you will need your username and password in order to log into any of the systems at Sheridan. So ensure that you have it either memorized or you have it somewhere safely written down. So once you put in your username and password, in order to access your Sheridan email account, you can see there that there's an option for Office 365, which is what our email address is for our Sheridan students. Now, also on that screen, you can see My Student Center at the very top at Sheridan Center. Under My Student Center, this is where you will find your timetable, this is where you will find your receipts for tuition, this is where you will find your invoice, this is where you will find your tax receipts. So when you're filing taxes in Canada, exactly where you will be able to find that form. You can change your address as well on My Student Center. So as soon as you arrive and as soon as you've been able to find accommodations, it's very, very important that you change your address. Why? First of all, if we ever need to get in touch with you, we won't be able to get in touch with you because we will have your home country address on file. Right. Second of all, if there is an emergency, we need to ensure that we have valid address on file. And thirdly, if let's say you get a transcript from Sheridan, it will always have your address that you have on file on it. So let's say you're presenting it to a potential employer, you're presenting it for your scholarship. It will look very odd that you have been studying here in Canada for a year, but you're still living overseas. So I would highly recommend that as soon as you arrive and you know your local address, please ensure that you change it.
And as well, your local phone number.
Oh, of course.
And your cell number.
And your email address. So if for some reason you have changed your emails, please ensure that you also update that as well. So once you've gone into the Sheridan email account, please enter your username and password as that. It's the same username and password you would have entered for Access Sheridan, but it still requires for you to enter it in once more. So, on that bright topic, if you have any questions so far that we've covered about coming to Canada, please feel free to ask them and we'd be more than happy to address those for you. But now we'll move on to being in Canada. So, the exciting part is about to start.